Dan here, East Beach Shop. So last video we were giving her pretty late in the night, and then we got
This morning.
well this morning. Yeah, it was today. Anyways, got up, had a coffee, and then I was out here doing a little bit of just kind of last minute stuff, which is kind of unique to this car. Which we're doing the two-door conversion, so like welding in little patches and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I did that this morning. Just kind of an ugly little patch in there, but it's fine. I mean, it doesn't. You'll never be seen again. It is what it is. So we got the floor done, we got the rocker in. Honestly, it's pretty good. Here, I started grinding, it just turned into an absolute, like that's what was in there, just body filler, which is even cured and stuff. So we'll have to get that fixed, but we'll do that kind of down the road. So we're gonna get the two-door part of this thing all kind of taken care of. So we got the post welded in. The door actually fits pretty well. So I'm happy with that. I welded kind of the back side of the post, so it's in there really good. The front side we can still do after, obviously. Once, you have to pretend this is all going to be covered, but the door fits nice. It's a little stiff. We got to kind of do some adjustments. But yeah, like it's pretty good fitment. Actually fits not bad. The front here and everything like that, I don't know. I think it's good enough. If you really want to be crazy, you could, make sure it fits your fenders and all that, but our fenders are junk, so this is going to kind of be what it's going to be. So now we have to go ahead and fill in this void with basically these kind of bits and pieces, which we had done before. So there will be some trimming and cutting. I'll make this look a little kind of nicer and stuff, but ultimately we'll do something like that. We'll be there. Something like this will be there to kind of make it look like something. And then the big panel is going to be this. Now this does require a little bit of repair. It's got a kind of a dent in it, but that's going to go ahead and fit in like that. People always ask, we're going to use the inside of the door, so we skin the door, but the inside structure we'll weld that in, so it'll be no different than if a four-door door was closed as far as I'm concerned. Honestly, I think it's stronger because everything is just solid welded together. The only real tricky cut is making this panel match your kind of door gap. So we are going to have to take care of that. I think what I'm going to do is, you can see, I've done it a few different ways in the past. I've made the door jamb piece and all that, but recently I've been using this as like a trim piece or a divide. You can actually show on the other side. Oh, and actually, this side is going to be a wicked easy two-door conversion because someone's already done all that ugly body work, and they actually body filled it and everything. So it's some ugly metal work, but it's got a bunch of filler in there, so it looks nice. But look at like the floor and all that. Like there's no like the other one we did has those like little stamps in it. It's just all flat, but it'll be fine. But anyways, this is the piece we're talking about. So these four doors have this little trim piece here and here, and we're going to go ahead and modify that just a little bit. So obviously it's actually very similar. It's kind of in line with the door. It might be in just a little bit. But what we're going to do is trim it down. So like this fold, we're basically just going to cut it kind of like right down like that type thing. Somewhat nice the whole way. And what that'll do is that'll allow this panel to be in line with the door. Because right now this is in line with the door, so we want it in just that, whatever, 16th or so of an inch. We're going to cut that angle piece out. We're going to weld right to that. And then we'll have to make some sort of a piece in here, which is a little ugly. And then I don't remember how this goes, because I don't think this covers everything. So we'll have to either weld something in there or figure something out. We might have to grind a little bit more. But that's that. So this is where you got to kind of take your time. There's not a whole lot of science to it. The amount of tools we've used has been pretty minimal. And the amount of steel we used was all just that door. The only thing we used was the actual two-door door. So we have to cut all in here. This becomes kind of ugly. And depending on what you want to do with glass and all that, you have to kind of cut some of this out as well. So I'm not going to put roll-up glass in here. I'm just going to glue some glass in. So you got to kind of trim that, put the glass in, and kind kind of carry on from there. But it all works out in the end. So yeah, let's get started on this panel. So I'm gonna clean it up just a little bit, like where I cut the door structure out. We're gonna just kind of grind that all up, all this stuff. We don't need any of this where the weather strip and all that was. We'll get that cleaned up, make it look kind of decent, and then we'll probably clean the edges, because obviously it's gonna have to be welded. I've done it before where the paint's been pretty decent, and I've tried just to really be careful when you're grinding it and all that, so you kind of weld it on and kind of show the scars. You're only body working just a small amount. This car's been painted with some sort of a concrete paint, and it's ugly. Like, it's ugly to grind, it stinks. So this whole car needs to be kind of sanded and painted, but it sure does stick, I'll tell you that. So yeah, we'll get this panel kind of cleaned up. We'll come back, start fitting it, and I mean, the nice thing is, tack weld in the grinder, you can put it together and take it apart a bunch of times. No one really cares. Okay, so I kind of straightened the bottom of the door a little bit. It's too bad at some point somebody painted this thing, because there's actually, the paint underneath is not bad. And, I mean, the door is all metal the whole way. The rockers were junk, but the quarters, everything else was nice. So I bet it probably just had some ugly patina. And at the time, people were like, I mean, let's be honest, this car was probably messed with in the 90s or something like that. Because I think we bought it from a guy who had it for 20 years, something like that. So, and he bought it from a guy who just had it on the farm. So. And he didn't do the concrete paint. That was already done. It was already done. Yeah, no, he was a fabricator body guy, so he was doing decent work to it. But I mean, such is life. It is what it is. It's too bad because it kind of would have been a cool car. But yeah, so we got this all kind of trimmed out. Now the one thing I guess I've mentioned in other videos, so the door's going to fit good at the back and around here. Obviously we're going to trim this to fit. It's going to have a gap at the bottom of the door to the rocker. Now obviously what's going to happen here is when you put, like, on a 4-door door, there'd be a gap there, the bottom, and the top. Otherwise the door wouldn't open and close. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the skin all the way back, because that's a nice, kind of shape. We're going to trim the front to fit exact, so those will be perfect. We've cut the top of the door off so we can make that fit. Well, that leaves a gap at the bottom, just like you'd have like a regular door gap. So we'll have to fill that in. So you will have to make like a little strip or something and kind of fill that in. I always do that gap at the bottom, just I think it's the easiest. You could, I guess you could drop the door and have a gap up here you got to mess with, but at that point it's down low. I mean, we can't even see the door gap, you know what I mean, on the bottom. So you fill it in there, you put some filler on it, it's fine. Tri-5 Chevys are nice too. Later stuff like Chevelles and Camaros or whatever it is, a lot of times the rocker goes all the way back, and then the quarter panel actually wraps in, and so the rocker has a seam the whole way. So you got to deal with that. These don't, so you can just weld it, schmuck it, and you're good. So now, I'll grab a battery and we'll cut out this little angle piece, and we can start fitting the skin. Man, the amount of steps, I need like a pedometer here. I feel like we're just giving her. So, I wonder if we should mark it maybe. Where did I put the Sharpie? I wrote a whole bunch of Sharpies, but I'm not going to be here till later today. Oh, can I borrow that? Thanks. The only thing I haven't liked about Amazon was this chair I bought. It's junk. I missed my other one, which was an Amazon one, but I couldn't find it. So.
Is it because that one doesn't have any cushioning?
Yeah. Maybe I'm getting so skinny that I don't have the cushion in my butt,
Honey, you never had a lot of cushion in your butt.
Danielle, also there was 6 wheels on this one. This one only has 4, so she's like a bucking bronco. Okay, so when I marked it, I kind of went an angle in, so we'll actually take off more material than we need, so it'll be past the door. That was the plan. And we should be able to just fit this other piece on, weld it, and then grind it to fit here, and we'll have an ace panel. Ace-ish. Yeah. Perfect. Now, so you can see.
I'm gonna upload just all of the grinding parts of these videos to More Shmoo for some grinding ASMR.
This door's actually got a bit of a bend in it. But you can see now at the top here, like, see you can see a little gap. So we're going to go ahead and we'll put that panel on. Now again, the panel, you can kind of, wave it in and out, whatever you got to do. You might have just a little bit of a gap, but, the reel of, 3D printing here, we'll fill that all in. That'll make it nice and sturdy, and we should be pretty good. Huh? Not bad. We may have to.
That is like 3D printing.
That's all a welder is. 3D printer. Huh?
You did 3D printing before it was cool.
I've always been cool. So this here, I just want to give it a little bit of a push back. Actually, in your car, I really butchered it together. I think I made this piece, and it's full of filler, and it's like nothing matches, and it looks goofy, and because that was the first one I did by using the post. So this here, I'll just kind of give it a bend. And then at the bottom here, you see it's got a big bend out. There we go. Pretty good. Make that fit, make it look pretty. And this nice thing is there's no right or wrong way to do it. Well, there's a right way to do it, but then there's multiple wrong ways to do it that look good in the end. So, what is this going to look like now? Oh, I think it'll be pretty dang, like, just that panel right there immediately makes it look like something, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, I cut it pretty close here. It's not even that bad. So, let's fire up that welder. This is where it's a little tricky. I always like to line this up first, and then we can pull on this, bend this, twist this, whatever it may be, to make it all kind of fit. I need the welding stuff. It's almost like you're too helpful. If it wasn't for all this pesky filming, this would be a really easy job. Okay. Everybody close your eyes. So we got that lined up pretty close. Okay, that's pretty schmint.
This helmet's pretty mint.
Brand new. Oh, I might have boned it. I don't know. There we go. Okay. Missed it. Okay. Not bad, buddy. Where's my hammer? Is it on the inside of the car? I hate when that happens. I don't have so many tools right now, it's driving me nuts. But the budget has been exhausted. I don't have any body working hammers. I don't have any air tools. The compressor that came with the house is not exactly the best for air tools, so you'll have to bear with us just a little bit. It'll be slightly more organized, but we'll have less stuff. Plus, if you're not body working with a ball peen hammer, what are you even doing? Okay, so now what I've learned in the past, these doors kind of curve in, you end up having a big kind of gap to do in here. Every one I've ever had, right here, like see how it's like, it fits nice and tight there, and here, for whatever reason, it goes all kind of gross, and then when you pull it out, there, it becomes gross here, so you gotta kind of, a bunch of screwing around, so kind of figure out what you want. Whoops. Okay. push that in a little. There we go. So again, this is the gap I'm talking about. This has to be shawammoed a little bit, but it's got to go in and out at the same time. We can do that with the welder. But now, what do we got at the front? Oh, honestly, not bad. I like nailed a fluke nailed the cut. It's literally right at the edge.
That's good.
So we can get a. Look at my screwdriver. It's really inside the car. Oh, Phillips. We might be able to do this all in one kind of take here. Yeah, that's mint. Is the door shut all the way? Okay, so we actually have to pull it out just a little bit. So it has to be on the outside. And it wants to be on the inside. So we'll have to do that. We'll go ahead and cheat it. It's all about cheating the welder. So what we're gonna do is, how can I get in here? Okay. Pass me the. Oh, thanks, darling. Okay. So we're gonna do the same dealio. I need that body hammer too.
Is it the body
Yes. Closest hammer is the body hammer. So we're just gonna give this a little massage in. Kind of hold this panel out. Oh yeah. You may have to give it just a tackle to hold it, but that's not bad. So we might have to pull it, like I said, we might have to pull it out just a little bit, but I'm just gonna give it a quick, I didn't grind this. Okay. I think we're nailing it as long as this lines up with the door. Which we could adjust the door in, actually. Now that I think about it. Holy moly, is that nice. Look at that. So the bottom's junk. We got to pull the panel out. But that's Tudor. And you can see the gap at the bottom was just a step farther away from the sill, but hey, she's not too bad. Okay, well let's, I guess you just want to carry on and get this all done while we're at it. Or you want me to do this on my own, that people can assume what happened. Danny gave the message like, what else are they going to watch? Well, fair enough. So, let's see if we can pop this out. The amount of tools you don't need to do this. The first time I did it, I was like, how is this possible? Ow. Shouldn't somebody be measuring more or carrying? Nah. That was a good one. Okay. So just down here. Oh yeah, that put it right into place. That's amazing. Well, I might have bunged up the cut just a little bit down the bottom, but the 3D printer will take care of that. Okay. Let's see how this turns out. That's pretty good. That is not a bad fitment right there. It's just a little gappy right at the bottom, but honestly not too bad. We can fix that with the grinder up here because it's tight. Just kind of grind that out, or hammer it back more, I should say. That's probably what we'll end up doing. I was more, trimming this way is easy. Obviously, if you have too much material, you can always have less. Not enough is a problem. And the real concern is having the shape that matches the door and the car. So when you go front to back, like from an eyeball, come stand back here actually, and just look back to front, because it's the best. You can kind of see, stand right like there, so you can't tell like it's in and out. You know what I mean? The back of the door is good. The front of the door matches this door, so we're pretty cherry. So now what I'll probably do, the bottom I'm happy with the gap, so I can weld that in so it's not going to move. The top here we can give it a little weld so it's not going to move. We can cut out some of these tack welds. We'll knock this little inner door area, what you want to call it, knock it back like a 1/8 or 1/16, weld it again, and then we'll just come in here with the grinder and clean that up, and it'll be just fine. Let me start putting this stuff on. The eyeballing it together is the best part. Because it like immediately looks like a car. Eh? Okay. Let's get some batteries and let's see if we can get this taken care of. So I kind of fixed the door. It's a little cattywampus yet, like the line or whatever, but that can be fixed with weld and a little bit of grinder or some TIG rod or body filler. And what we'll probably do is just kind of weld it and then just run a zip disc in there, or grinding stone, like kind of one of the thinner ones, and it'll be just fine. So now up here I just kind of dressed all this, get everything kind of cleaned up a little bit. So I don't really mess with this too much. I think because what I do, this piece is actually a little too long. We're going to have to trim it, but it'll fit something along those lines. It'll show just a little bit of it. I think what I did in the last one, like in your car, is I cut like a pipe piece and just kind of welded that in there, and then just clean it up, a little schmoo body filler, and it was fine. I did screw this up. I cut this piece is too short, I believe, so we'll have a gap there we'll have to deal with, but nah, that is what it is. And then up here, I think I leave all this structure in usually, because that's where the garnish molding can kind of get into. So let's just kind of start that. I did clean up in here the best I can. It's kind of gross. What actual Tri-5s have, like a two-door, they actually have a gap. And this one's a perfect example. You can see how it's all breaking away. Whatever some sort of seam sealery junk they put in it is in there. So what I'm going to do is you weld this up, whatever, pretty good. So you put that in there so it lines up. You end up with a bit of a gap. You weld it and then grind it, and then just some body filler or fiberglass, whatever you want to put in there. And then, scuff it. It looks no different than that. I think that actually looks terrible. You see that big broken line in the paint. So, step one, let's get this quasi lined up. Okay. Honestly, it has to go down just a little bit. Didn't like that. Didn't like it. I want this line to be as close as possible. A little awkward, a little awkward. Okay. Oh, ground that pretty hard, I guess. So that's kind of in line. We'll give this a little bit of a bend up, and you can see we're going to end up with this gap. But again, this it's bigger than it would be on a door, obviously. Now, how much do we want it? We want it sticking out just a little bit. A little bit of eyeballing. Okay. So that ain't going nowhere. Switch this over to there. So now this piece, you kind of want the door shut. But yeah, this is where I kind of buggered it, because if you have a nice door gap there, you're gonna have a gap there and there.
You shouldn't even be doing that. So unprofessional.
Luckily, my 3D printer is full of wire, and I'll just and then grind it.
You spend the budget on.
Oh yeah, welding wire, welding wire, and welding gas. It's way cheaper than doing it right. How much of this do I want to cut? See if that fits any better. This wants to go in more. Oh, it's probably all my janky weld there, which I left. Fine. Get this junk out. Yes.
Wow.
Well, it fits good, but we'll have a giant gap there, so don't get too excited. Because now we're back to it being garbage. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, line that up with the door. What do we want there? We want a bit of an angle, actually. Okay, hang on. Cheating incoming. So we'll weld that in. We actually want that a little higher. Where's the body hammer? Found it. Whoops. One too many. Where's the body hammer reverser? Found it. It's not bad. Okay. So now what do we got down here? So that wants to be about there. Can we? ugly tack. Engage. Okay. So there we go. Got to kind of join that, but honestly, everything lines up pretty decent. Okay. Well, nothing's going to go nowhere. So we have a decent gap there. So obviously we got to fill in there, but I mean, that's just, we'll stitch that. I might even just do it right now. We'll stitch that together, grind it. Same with right there. We'll stitch it, grind it. This has a little bit of flex to it. But the big one, it always looks awful. Where's it? Look at that. Look from the top down. This just goes right across.
Flush.
Flush. So that's all that really matters. We have it back here too. Not bad, not bad. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this a few more welds in here, in there. Maybe kind of join that together. Actually, I might have a few bits. The section I cut out there. Wherever I put that, we can kind of section that in. It's almost like you're doing like a Model A chop or something like that. It's just you're doing it differently. But that's that. So if we get that taken care of, we can clean this door up a little bit, just make it look a little nicer. We actually have something here. Okay, let's get that finished up, and then we'll call it. Okay, so I did a little, 3D printing followed by a little sculpting with the sculptor. Man, 2 grinders. That's the ticket. So
Again, thank you to the person whose name.
I wish I remember, but yeah, it's not just your name. I forget. It's everybody's.
It was also, we got it right before we moved.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the chaos
Anyways,
of the brain.
appreciate it very much. So we weld that in. It still need you can give another pass if you want. Same with up here. It is what it is.
I have
But
to say, I'm very impressed. You did all that filling with the welder?
yeah, I'm pretty
Is that
good.
what you do when you weld? It's not just gluing stuff together, it's like building stuff?
I mean, no, it's definitely not the case, but in this case it was. This one we had a bit of a gap, so we kind of filled it. This one here, same thing, it was kind of V'd out, so we filled that in. I mean, if you're doing like structural welding, I guess it is just non-stop welding, so yeah, that's fine. Here I ended up just using a bit, again, a little tip here is all the little bits and pieces you're cutting off. So this is obviously like at the front of the door or whatever it was. Just keep these things.
Save your bits.
Yeah, it's got the right shape, and then as well a little piece in there. And I mean, you can see I didn't dress it too much, but right there and there, I just filled that in. Same thing, put a little strip in there. She's good. We can, if you want to re-weld that and clean it and then polish it like all the fancy guys do on Instagram, you can. But for around here, I think it's ready for fiberglass. What can I show in here? Yeah, something like this. Like, I'm just gonna take like a piece, just kind of weld that in. Something along like that, and it'll be fine. So I did in Danny's car. And honestly, that's like so much structure. These things here, when they're put together, they're all sandwiched together, just kind of like spot welded. So when you're seam welding everything, like it's strong. I mean, even just the few little tack welds we have holding it on, it's got lots. So now at this point, this is kind of one piece, so we're good there. You do have to, like I kind of cut this off a little bit, and you can see up here, still has kind of the hang down. That's where the door is, and the post obviously would have been. So we'll have to cut all that out. I do recommend, depending on what you want to do with glass, now is the time to kind of cut all this structure out, what you probably should do. So what I always do is I'll run the zip disc right down the edge, so it'll look like this. There'll be nothing below it. Cut all that out, and then same thing, cut in here a little bit. And then when you want to put glass in, I just glue it. So you put it in with some, window adhesive. Put it in there. I think we tape it. Put 2x4, a pair of vice grips, whatever you can do to hold it. And once it sends up the window urethane, holds it. And is it a hack thing for sure? But you know what? I don't have any window cranks. And the base model Tri-5 Chevys, like the salesman specials, they had the glass glued in from factory.
You've been there, and you got the t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, this is again, if you wanted to do like this car was rough. Let's be honest. I mean, it was fine, but it was rough around the edges and how much money you want to spend on it. If you had like a pretty nice or a nicer four-door, like Danny's car, if you go back a few years, the first kind of real four-door we did on her 57 Bel Air. It was a pretty nice car, solid floors. It was perfect candidate in my mind if you want a two-door. That car was like $700, had a motor trans, the whole deal. We put disc brakes on it, the floor was good. I do a little bit of rocker repair. We ended up just painting the doors to match the blue and polish the rest of the car. I mean, it is what it is. It's ratty, but that car, in my mind, it could be taken to the next level, and like you could legit paint it if you ever wanted to. So if you could find a really nice four-door and then something like this, and this is even a little on the rough side, but you could get the proper door post. Like when I would do, if I was going to do, well, this is missing back here actually, so this is whatever. But I would just, you cut all the roof structure right out, and you can get it from the inside and take it all into pieces. You get a proper two-door post, which is slightly different than a four-door. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It has some sort of little stamping and whatnot, but you just transfer all that over to that opening you've created, and then you'd have like a proper two-door. They do sell all the panels as well. I will say, I think Real Deal Steel sells a whole kit to turn a four-door into a two-door, but I mean, it's like $5,000 American or something like that. So by the time we get it, it's like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 between the exchange and shipping and duties and all that sort of stuff. And ultimately, you know, as I'm learning a four-door conversion, I sold them all. They went in between like $10,000 and $15,000. That's kind of what they went for. And they're not super fancy, but they were, you know, a two-door car. So do the math. I mean, maybe if it's your dad's car, super sentimental, but you really want a two-door conversion, go for it. But if you just want to have a fun car, we're still into this thing for $1,500 or whatever we paid for the thing, $1,000, and a set of doors. That door actually was free. The other one I had to buy, but we'll have this thing, I think, glass, and I got to get a windshield. I have pillaged a bunch of side glass. We're just going to make all the rest of the panels just out of the metal we have. I found a guy that has a set of fenders. He wants $100 per fender. That's a bit of a rip. And we got to get a windshield for it, but they make China ones for like $150 and then some window rubber. I'm going to say for $2,000, we can have this thing two-door converted, glass in it, ready to go. It came with a rebuilt motor, which just sat forever. We can probably, I did roll it over so it turns, so fingers crossed that starts. The front end was rebuilt on this thing. It needs a few little things in the steering, and we got to put a drive shaft in it. We got to get like a turbo 350 transmission, some sort of seats. I mean, if you really want to be low buck, I mean, $3,000 Canadian is what we're going to have into this. So it's like $2,000 US, and you'll have a, you know, primer gray two-door 57 Chevrolet, which I think is pretty cool, in my mind. Okay, by all means, we're doing this one budget, so keep that in mind. We'll probably spend a little bit more money on that one, and I don't know what we're doing with that pile. I just like looking at it, but maybe I should just sell it. Nah, we'll build it. Thanks for watching. Please comment below. Let me know what you think. Next video, we're going to leave this here. I'm a big believer in kind of tacking it all together. If you want to change anything, right now we could have this thing all apart in half an hour in one zip disk, and you'd be right back to where you started. So that's all taken care of. The other side, we still have a bunch of junk to go through. I actually got to organize the shed out back, and we'll do that this afternoon. And pull all this out, but again, it's much easier to pull stuff out when there's no posts on the other side and there's no doors. So, new video later on today after lunch. See you then.